Hi there guys and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. My name is Chris Coney, I am the host of the Cryptoverse and the founder of cryptoversity.com, which is the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. You can find out more about Cryptoversity by going to cryptoversity.com. If you'd be kind enough to go to the podcast page on Cryptoversity, you can subscribe to the Cryptoverse and you can have it fed directly to you, your mobile device or whatever platform you wish, whether it be iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Store, on YouTube or via Steemit. If you would be kind enough to support the Cryptoverse, then if you click through to Steemit on that page, you can vote for this episode and support the Cryptoverse financially. Or if you want to contribute directly, there's a Bitcoin address on that page for you to make a contribution. Let's take a look. Today's Sunday and it's 1:30 in the afternoon. So again, it's not exactly 24-hour cycle for the weekend Cryptoverse as it is. That's why when I look at these numbers and the 24-hour figures on CoinMarketCap, they may not be totally accurate from one episode to the next because it's not a full 24-hour cycle. Today's more like a 22-hour cycle since the last episode of the Cryptoverse. So what do I see here? I see a 3.7% increase in the price of Bitcoin. I'll take a look at the candlestick chart in a moment to verify that. Ethereum Core has gained 6% and it's pulled away from Ethereum Classic, which has lost 20%. So yesterday I was talking about the gap between the two currencies shrinking and them getting closer and closer. That's widened again. So Ethereum Core is now 916 billion market cap, Ethereum Classic 184. So 916 versus 184. That means Ethereum Classic is slipping a little bit, despite it having $26 million worth of trading volume versus Ethereum Core's 15 million. Now, the trading volume matters less than what direction people are trading in, because if that's $26 million worth of buying volume, it's very different than $26 million worth of selling volume, right? So moving on, Dash has gained another 2.8% today, which is decent for a coin of that caliber. It's now got a $70 million market cap. Yeah, I'm seriously thinking about buying some more Dash because I reckon it's seriously undervalued. Let's see what else we've got. Dogecoin's making a comeback. It was solid in the top 10 for a long time, and it's dropped right out. Now it's made its way back up to the 11th most capitalized coin. Where's MadeSafe? Oh yeah, MadeSafe is sitting pretty at 9th most capitalized, and then BitShares is hanging on in the top 20. BitShares is another one of my favorites. And keep your eye on Scenario. It's another one of those social networks on the blockchain. So I do not know when that's going to launch. If anyone knows any sort of speculative launch date, please let me know. Yesterday I recorded the Cryptoverse at a secret location and I wasn't on my studio computer. So when I looked at the candlestick chart, it was all black color scheme. So if you watch the Cryptoverse on YouTube, then it may not have been as visible as it is today. Because today I'm on the studio computer and the studio computer has the chart with a white background. Now then, today we have a green candle, price going up. As of right this second, the Bitstamp price on Bitcoin is $594. And that's, what was it? Yesterday was a buyer day. So out of the last 4 days, including today, we've had one down day. So we're now starting to recover the big losses from the big move downwards. You know, prices generally fall a lot harder than they climb because people are quicker to sell than to buy. So we went from $650 down to $550 in 3 days. Boom, boom, boom. So that's a $100 loss. And then in the last 5 days, it's gone from $540 to $590. So you see what I mean? It took 3 days to lose $100 worth of value, and it's taken us 5 days to gain back $50 of that, half of it. So, geez, the 3-day losses is going to take, at this rate, 10 days to recover. So, see what I mean? So, my strategy is just to hold it. It will be back. I don't believe Bitcoin is doomed. Now, I've picked out 3 articles this morning. This morning, I'm lying. I'm lying about that, because I already told you that it was 1:30 in the afternoon. So if I say it's this morning, you should be suspicious. Either I lied just now or I lied at the beginning of the episode. Now, the truth is I lied just now because I didn't pick out these articles this morning. I picked them out this afternoon. So let me see if I can get through them. I've put them in priority order that I feel is the most important to talk about. So the first one comes from coindesk.com, and the title of the article is With socialized loss proposal, Bitfinex enters uncharted waters. So I've kind of looked ahead a little bit on this one. There's a proposal that Bitfinex users bear some of the losses for the breach. So we'll get into this article and see if I'll expand on that for us. So this article was actually published 2 days ago, on Friday, the 5th of August. And thanks to Pete Rizzo for writing this article. If you want to tweet Pete, you can. It's at Pete, P-E-T-E _ Rizzo, R-I-Z-Z-O _. So tweet at him and say, thanks for the lovely article. So they've used a nice, it looks like stormy waters as the image for this article, because it's uncharted territory, isn't it? Uncharted waters. Righto, let's get into this, see what we can learn. The Bitfinex hack appears to be forcing the exchange to consider unconventional measures as part of a bid to relaunch after last week's $60 million hack. So there we go. Unconventional measures they're considering. The Hong Kong-based Bitcoin exchange announced last night that it is leaning towards, quote, a scenario that would see it socialize losses among Bitcoin users and margin traders with Bitcoin USD positions. So that's Bitcoin against the US dollar. While not set in stone, the idea is that users could potentially share losses equally has nonetheless prompted speculation, given the perceived impact the exchange's ultimate closure could have on both the price of Bitcoin and its perception as a technology among the general public. Now, someone sent me a comment on the Cryptoverse YouTube channel the other day. It was on one of the episodes that I've done on the Bitfinex hack. And they said, and I haven't been able to verify this yet, so I can't be the source of all knowledge. I can crowdsource it, so if you guys can help me out with sending me information that I can publish, then I will do that for sure. But I'm looking for the truth, so I need to falsify or verify any of the things that I say. Okay, so what I'm getting at is, one of the people that commented on the YouTube video said that Bitfinex only accounts for like 1% of Bitcoin's trading volume. Now, if that's true, and see, I don't know that to be true, so I say I have to be speculative, and say if that's true, this statement on the article here that says the perceived impact that the exchange's failure would have on the price of Bitcoin and perception, well, it wouldn't have any technical impact because it's only 1% of the volume. However, there's a subjective, intangible impact that it would have in terms of perception, because the mainstream media would just go ape and be, oh, lovely, another Bitcoin doomsday story, and they would run with it like they have run it every other opportunity to defame, Bitcoin every turn. So that would be the worst bit about it. Any Bitcoin company of any small or reasonable size that fails, that the media can use to defame Bitcoin, they will take it. But in an absolute sense, Bitfinex's failure, if they're only 1% of the trading volume, doesn't make any actual difference in the economy other than the perception. So back to the article. In the wake of the statement, market observers are attempting to assess the nature of the approach and whether it will be enough to resolve the issues at the exchange, one of the largest on the Bitcoin network by volume prior to its shutdown. Okay, well that's just straight away reverse what I just said. This article is claiming that, one of the largest on the Bitcoin network by volume. So that can't be right then, can it? It can't be 1% of trading volume if it's one of the largest. That doesn't make any sense. There aren't enough exchanges for that to be true. So speaking to CoinDesk today, representatives of the ecosystem's trading and exchange communities agreed that this would mark one of the first times, if not the first time, a socialized loss proposal would be implemented in the wake of a hack at a major digital currency exchange. Now, what do you guys think to this? I mean, socializing the loss, I don't know about this, because that would say, what they're saying there is that the users kind of bear some sense of the consequences. So, okay, cause and effect. So the users are having to feel an effect for something that, did they cause? Did they have any cause? Did they have any hand in the cause? Not really. The only way they could have avoided it is if all the users had withdrawn their money from the exchange. And then, of course, the exchange would have failed because they'd have no trading volume, right? So that's is that what they're saying? Are they saying in some way their users are to blame for the hack and therefore should take some of the responsibility? I don't know how they're going to rationalize this. Let's see. Let's read on. Michael Morrow, the CEO of over-the-counter trading firm Genesis Trading, told CoinDesk, quote, "I can't think of another situation in which something similar has been proposed in digital currency." Close quote. Neither can I, mate. Neither can I. While the idea appears to be in the early stages, market observers did emphasize that by taking funds from all Bitcoin users, even those whose funds are potentially still under the exchange's control, and redistributing them, Bitfinex was moving into territory that was largely without past precedent. Oh my goodness. So yesterday we had the article about the CFTC, right? And they had to make a ruling on how Bitfinex was behaving and how they were using cold storage, and how basically, and I agree with people on Twitter about this, the regulators don't understand how Bitcoin works. So they made that kind of ruling that they weren't allowed to use cold storage unless they registered as a futures exchange. And they didn't realize the consequences of those actions, being that Bitfinex would stop using cold storage, and then the public is at even greater risk of these kinds of hacks. Jesus. Oh my goodness. So let's go on with the article. Experienced market observers, as diverse as the Whale Club community admin, let me start that again. Experienced market observers, as diverse as Whale Club community admin, BTC Vix, and How BTC Director of Marketing Eric Moo, and blockchain consultant Anthony Lewis, for example, struggled to recall another time or a similar instance, as did others, when reached. So no one can think of any time where anyone has done this before, where they've tried to make their users pay for a hack that lost money. So still, some suggested such a scheme may be the only path forward for keeping the exchange online. You see, this is the very definition of a bail-in. So a bailout is where the government steps in and gives money to a financial institution, like it's been happening since 2008, and not just since 2008, it's happened before. But they bail them out, right? They make up for their losses so that the financial company does not fail, right? But that money comes from outside of the financial institution. A bail-in is the other way around, where the money comes from inside the company, primarily client funds. So you remember the Cyprus fiasco, where there was some sketchy Cyprus banks and they were insolvent, and instead of getting money from the government, they basically looked at everyone's bank balance who was, I think it was anyone who had over 100,000 euros on deposit. So they would just shave 10% of anything above that. And then they would take that from the customers and give it to the bank, so it became the bank's property. So that's a bail-in. And that is what this sounds like to me. If Bitfinex are saying, "Hey, what, we're gonna have to share the losses with the users," that's effectively meaning that Bitfinex don't have to pay the whole $60 million out of their own pocket, even though so far it seems like they are to blame for it. But they're saying that might be the only way of keeping the exchange online. The alternative would be to bail them out somehow. Who's going to bail them out? The Hong Kong government? I don't know. They'd have to ask. So there's a quote here from Eric Moo, and it says, "I think it may be a necessary evil to avoid a Mt. Gox-style shutdown." Yes. So indeed, at press time, there remains a lack of clarity as to what the exchange means by socialized loss, whether it could be legally implemented, or if Bitfinex would face any potential liability should certain aggravated parties take action if it pursues the plan. That's another problem. You might get a class action suit from all the users saying that's not fair, you can't get us to pay for your hack, blah, 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 blah. And to my mind, I don't know how they're going to get away with that, to be honest. How can they justify it? But they could turn around even to the regulators and say, look, either we do a bail-in or we fold the company and everybody loses everything. So it's kind of less of the two evils. Even though it seems like Bitfinex are to blame for the lack of security. Yeah, they're basically creating an ultimatum in a way. Well, they haven't created that ultimatum. That was me kind of just postulating. So past precedent. Still, others noted that similar actions have been taken by smaller exchanges in the past on rare occasions, and that some have even been successful in efforts to relaunch. Adamant Research, oh, these are good guys. I vouch for these folks. The Adamant Research, check them out. Yeah, they're cool guys. So Adamant's Research Tour de Mister noted that while the definition was not used at the time, the situation bears a resemblance to actions taken by digital currency exchanges like Polonius and Bitfloor in the past. Is that right? I did not know that. For example, Polonius moved to pay back exchange users in 2014 after it lost 12.3% of all of its bitcoins in a hacking incident. In this case, Polonius would go on to repay customers' claims in a matter of months, eventually rising from a relatively unknown platform to the largest Ethereum exchange by trade volume. Well, at least they paid back, right? Of course, of note is that Polonius, however, does not offer fiat currency trading, while Bitfinex does. That's interesting. And as soon as you handle fiat, you are tying yourself into all of the fiat regulations as a mainstream financial institution, unfortunately. That's the beauty of, Shapeshift, is not only do they not handle fiat, they don't even hold customers' funds for more than a few seconds while the trade goes on. So, I mean, that would actually be the best approach if you want to trade, is to use Shapeshift, because it goes directly from one person's wallet to another. Granted, it goes via Shapeshift for a second or two, but other than that, that's it. So if you hacked Shapeshift, you'd only get whatever money was in there, that second before it moved on. You know what I'm saying? Another reference point was an incident on China's based exchange Huobi's margin trading platform BitVC, which was in 2014 when it garnered criticism for socializing users' losses. But for some, this comparison doesn't describe the current situation at Bitfinex, given that, in this instance, users were opting into an agreement and accepting the risk of a socialized loss in exchange for the potential gain offered by higher margins. This is completely different than the high-leveraged socialized loss futures contracts, said BCT VIX. These firms have an insurance fund that buffers those times they incur a loss, and that often covers the system loss. Hang on a minute, let me read that again. This guy, BTC VIX, is a quote, and he says, "This is completely different than the high-leveraged socialized loss futures contracts. These firms have an insurance fund that buffers those times when they incur a loss, and that often covers the system loss." So they have an insurance fund, an actual insurance fund, like from an insurance company, or is that just a way of describing a pot of money that they set aside? So legal uncertainties. Still, many market observers have questions about whether the exchange could legally implement such a measure. Legal experts suggested that while the market may be looking for easy answers, these may be speculative at best for now. For example, Bitfinex's terms of service stated it was formed under the law of the British Virgin Islands, meaning any lawsuits could take place in that jurisdiction. Probably would take place in that jurisdiction if you ask me. At press time, Bitfinex's terms of service were no longer available online, though a cached version can be found here, and then it links to it. One legal expert, speaking on background, said that while it remains to be seen whether Bitfinex or its security partner BitGo will be sued, both could face liability even if it's not immediately clear who would sue or where the lawsuit would be filed. Now, to my mind, I can't see how BitGo can get implicated in this. They're just a software company as far as I am concerned. And here's a quote. BitGo's terms of service have a mandatory arbitration clause. Bitfinex has a class action waiver. There are all sorts of impediments to bringing claims, he said, adding, but just because you have terms doesn't mean they will be in force. Yeah, that's true. So the law of the land, I think, can override a lower level agreement like a terms of service, right? You can't just create a terms of service that says, yes, we're based in the United Kingdom, but none of the laws apply. So we can get away with what we want. And as long as you sign that agreement, it doesn't work like that. So digital currency advocate and trial lawyer Drew Hinks, I'll call him Drew Hinks. He emphasized that the terms of service for the company would be of key importance. He noted Bitfinex's terms of service call for mandatory arbitration and feature a broad definition of loss and force majeure. Yes, well, force majeure are those the force of nature, right? Which are like earthquakes, blah, 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 blah. Most terms of service have that in a force majeure clause that says, if there's a force majeure, hurricane, tornado, blah, 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 and then customers lose money, you can't sue us for that because it was completely outside of our control. That's pretty normal. But this fellow, Drew Hinks, is saying that their terms of service and for arbitration feature a broader definition in terms of what loss and force majeure means. And then he says, this could create some challenges for a party wanting to bring a claim. Oh my goodness. The Wild West returns. Most respondents interviewed had a number of unresolved questions about how the situation would be developing going forward, though there were some commonalities. For instance, there was uncertainty as to whether authorities would get involved, and if they did, whether they would allow the exchange to continue operating and move forward with a repayment plan. That's one way of doing it. They could pay it out of future profits, couldn't they? The exchange said to be in contact with authorities. They are said to be in contact with authorities, but at press time, representatives of Bitfinex haven't offered clarity as to which are involved. So which authorities are they speaking to? Indeed, commentary often devolved into some of the more existential questions facing the Bitcoin ecosystem, those related to the intent of the technology and its ability to succeed on the vision for finance it has popularized. Yes. Well, come on now. Just because this whole Bitfinex thing does not, in any way, shape or form, bring into question Bitcoin's fundamental value. All that is going to happen here is that it's another exchange that's failed for a reason we've never seen before, perhaps. Maybe they invented a new way to mess up. Right? That's brilliant for the Bitcoin ecosystem because straight away, everyone hears about it. And then everyone, because everything's open source and it's a little community thing, then no one will want to make that mistake again. They won't. They just won't, right? Because they know that the public, the users, the next time they use an exchange, they'll start asking more questions of an exchange to say, so exactly how does your security work? And they'll have all the buzzwords to say, it's not set up like Bitfinex, was it? Because if you are, I'm not using your exchange. So great, then the free market kicks in. And then entrepreneurs start new exchanges that have different security regulations that don't have this problem and this can't happen again. And there already are those out there, right? Which is why Kraken and all the other folks have come out straight away and said, look, we use BitGo security technology, but we've not had ours breached and neither did we implement it in the same way. And on top of that, decentralized exchanges for Bitcoin are already on the way. So the solution to this problem is already being built. So stop with that stupid talk. Anyway, back to the last few paragraphs here. Indeed, the irony that Bitcoin's technology is facing security concerns due to the use of traditional financial models by its startups was not lost on market observers. Here we go. Financial Times writer Isabella Kamishka, for example, used her particular acerbic brand. What the hell does that word mean? I'm going to have to look that word up. What the word is acerbic? At this rate, I'm only going to get through one article today. Go to Google, stick in that word. Okay, so the article says, this lady, Isabella Kamishka, for example, used her particular acerbic brand of reporting. What does that mean? Acerbic means tasting sour or bitter. Okay. Sharp and forthright. Okay, so that's her style of reporting. She's kind of sharp and bitter and sour. So sour grapes, I guess. So she used her acerbic brand of reporting to raise these pertinent questions. Oh, and then it links actually to her article on the Financial Times. I don't want to read that really. I might do, but I don't want to. However, it seems even Bitcoin entrepreneurs are finding overlap with her insights. Andrea Medri, CFO, Chief Financial Officer of the Bitcoin exchange The Rock Trading, said he is still wondering why so much Bitcoin was being kept on the exchange. Well, we know why that is. Well, we sort of do. Well, I will comment on that in a second. And then there's a quote from him saying, "The beauty of this technology is that you can be your own bank and leave your assets with an intermediary, such as an exchange, for a few minutes only. People need to realize that they don't need custodians any longer." Full disclaimer, CoinDesk is a subsidiary of Digital Currency Group, which owns Genesis Trading and has an ownership stake in BitGo, which were two organizations mentioned in this article. So take that with a pinch of salt. Okay, so back to this fellow, Andrea Medri, CFO of The Rock Trading. He was wondering why so much Bitcoin was being kept on the exchange. Well, we talked about this yesterday. Why doesn't he listen to the Cryptoverse? I'm just kidding. Because the CFTC spanked Bitfinex for $75,000 because they were operating in what they deemed to be a futures exchange, and because of the way they were using cold storage, right? I mean, they fined them. They punish them. They use the stick, a carrot and stick, so they stick them for that behavior. And the whole idea is carrot, do this behavior, stick, don't do that behavior. So they stopped it. Now, I'll still stand by my point from yesterday, which is to say that why didn't they just register as a futures exchange and carry on using cold storage? I just don't get why they didn't do that. Often commentators like me, it's easier to be a commentator and a critic, right? So I'm not having a go at them just to be negative, not at all. I'm searching for the truth. And that was a question, right? It was a question. Why? And I'm actually asking the question not as rhetorical. I'm asking the question because I want it answering. I honestly would like a true answer to it. And the question is that, why didn't Bitfinex, after they got fined the $75,000, why didn't they carry on using the cold storage and register as a futures exchange? And then they could have carried on. But instead they didn't. They stopped using the cold storage as much. And that's the answer to why there was so much money in the hot wallet on the exchange, and why the hack was so expensive in terms of the amount of money that was stolen. So if anyone knows the answer to that or can find out, I would really, really like to know. Maybe I'll reach out to a Bitfinex executive and ask them. The trouble is, I imagine they're a little bit busy right now, so to comment. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's session. I did say I had a couple more articles, but I have run out of time. So that's going to do it for today. Please go to cryptoversity.com/podcast. Subscribe yourself on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play or YouTube or Steam it. And please support the Cryptoverse. Click through to Steam it, vote for this episode on Steam it, or make a contribution directly by using the Bitcoin address to send us a tip. Also remember to check out cryptoversity.com, the main site, which is the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. My name's Chris Coney, I've been the host of the Cryptoverse, and until tomorrow, guys, it's me saying bye for now.